Let's now talk about gender and power interactions in our daily talk. Usually when we interact with each other in our daily conversation, we do not assume consciously or more elaborately that we are trying to exert certain power over others. But still, we are trying to manage some kind of power relationship in our talks. That's why the researchers emphasize on language use in context, which includes extra-textual variables such as gender, social class, economic status, age, or in simple terms, sociocultural backgrounds. And that would help us to understand that what kind of power relations are being negotiated even in a normal daily talk. Research emphasizes on the construction of gender identities in everyday talk. We do construct, besides other power and social relations, we do construct gender identities in our daily talk also, which may not be taken that seriously by many people from this perspective especially. For example, we can see a woman, while emphasizing on her beauty, she would probably refer to other people in the vicinity or her own siblings in order to show herself more beautiful than the other siblings or other people in the community. Then similarly, a boy who would focus on his ability to do hard work, and he would also compare himself with others and would talk about his identity while interacting about others. He would probably refer to his background, his ability to manage hard tasks. He would narrate certain events about his previous achievements, and therefore he would focus on his identity as a hard worker person. To show the power of economic status, a participant may tell his or her other participants about his or her luxurious or easy lifestyle, in which he might on an unconscious or subconscious level would try to overcome his inferiority complex. According to Wine, it's the purpose of a certain interaction which would involve people's choices about power relations and about also about the frequency and choice of speech acts, how and what kind of speech act should be performed in a certain talk. It's all about the purpose of the interaction. For example, if our purpose is of some kind of problem solving, so we might even ignore some kind of arguments which are not ignored in other situations. If you consider the example in front of you, there are two sentences or utterances numbered as 1 and 2 in front of you, and they say as you finish doing it and make some notes. This is one participant who says that, and the other says, well, put a really simple brief what we need to know in order to respond to that. These are quite high-sounding statements, but you can see that the participants would ignore such high-sounding statements or direct imperative in the context of problem solving, in which there is a kind of high involvement and long planning meeting to solve a certain problem, where they summarized actions to be taken to solve an urgent problem. So in kind of urgency, such direct imperatives may be acceptable to many speakers. Here is another example in front of you. The manager says, I think it will be too tight for this, in a rising intonation, and then there is a pause. And then executive assistant to the manager says, yeah. If you look at the statement by the manager, you will see that the manager deliberately tried to say a certain thing in a rising intonation, in which he almost invites the executive assistant to provide his or her own opinion, rather than the manager using a direct imperative to achieve a work-related goal or task. he gave his executive assistant a choice to say something. He invited him by using a rising intonation to say something about what he or she is saying, instead of saying directly that do this or do that for me. So as I said earlier, it's the purpose of an interaction which would probably decide about the kind of power relations which would be negotiated, or kind of speech acts which would be used in a conversation.